Game Redacted podcast, America's most beloved podcast, the most downloaded Red Sox podcast in the world. Let me just, if you're listening to this right now, first of all, let me say thank you. Let me say thank you because this team fucking sucks. And I am sick and tired of watching this fucking baseball team. So if you're watching the Red Sox and then you're like, hey, I need more of that, you're coming here. Like, I'm sure that there's other Red Sox podcasts, other baseball podcasts that you could be listening to. The fact that you chose us, thank you, because I am sick and fucking tired of this goddamn baseball team ruining my day, ruining my week, ruining my month, ruining my summer. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely. But Tyler's here. Yeah.
Listen, through all odds, I'm battling the Wi-Fi down the Cape. Mm-hmm. I've been going through a change. I got gel in my hair right now. I'm on a different level. I'm feeling like Miami Milliken. Thank you. Yeah. So let me know what you think. But yeah, it was real tough. You know, you're talking about your days getting ruined, your weekends getting ruined. My vacation's been ruined. I just watched what happened to Brayan Bello. Almost spit out my dinner. Yeah,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But just to continue to set the scene, we have Tyler Milliken on vacation down the Cape, and he's still setting aside time to podcast about this godforsaken baseball team. I woke up this morning, recorded Baseball is Dead, finished recording it, emailed my audio to Jake, broke down my podcast studio, got in the fucking truck. My dad was already downstairs. He drove me to the airport, walked into JetBlue because my email said my flight was JetBlue, put in the record locator, and then it says your flight is actually American Airlines. And I was like, oh, that's in a completely different terminal. So then I walk over to this person and I was like, hey, my email says my flight is JetBlue, but the machine over here is telling me that it's American Airlines. So she goes, oh, go to the help desk right here and they'll tell you what to do. And I look at this help desk and the line is as long as the line for like Space Mountain on school vacation week. And it's not moving. Like if I had stayed, I would still be standing in that line. If I actually got in that line, I would still be there right now. So I go outside, have a mental breakdown on the phone with my mom. I'm just like, and one of my friends makes fun of me for this all the time because I don't ever call my mom for a solution. It's always just a bitch. Like, I don't want her to help me. I just want her to hear how fucking terrible my luck is. I just need to document how shitty my life is. So I'll just call her and just unload on this poor woman, explaining the situation. And so then she's like, why don't you go find someone inside and see if they can help you? And I was like, well, I just did that. I just asked someone what to do, and they told me to stand in this fucking 8,000 hour line to get to a desk for them to probably say, well, I don't know, go to the next terminal. So I go back to the
just
original.
Picture you screaming at your mother in front of these people outside the airport. You're like, don't give me no fucking solutions. Just tell me it's going to be okay and let me keep it fucking moving.
Yeah, just feel bad for me. That's really all I needed in this time. Like that, like one of my ex-girlfriends used to say that. Like I would have a problem and she would be like, do you want comfort or a solution? And I'd be like, comfort.
I've recently learned about this because I'm very solution based. You tell me your problem, I'm going to tell you what I think you can do to fix it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, to me, all I ever want is someone to figure out my problem. Tell me what I can do that will improve my situation. Martha, she's like, don't talk. Just listen. Nod your head. Just pretend like, you know, you're taking it all in and you just want to hear my thoughts. I'm very bad at it, but you're a lot like Martha.
Yeah. I just want comfort. I don't want a solution. I want to wallow in misery and just we can talk about it. So then I go back to this original person and I was like, hey, where is American Airlines? Because it's apparently that's where my flight is now and it's a completely different terminal. She's like, oh, there's a tunnel right there that you can walk down that just goes to the other terminal. And I was like, why didn't you say that a half an hour ago when I told you that I had JetBlue and then it got switched to American? So now I'm hauling ass to American Airlines and my suitcase is fucking heavy as shit because I have all my podcast stuff in there. So I'm just lugging this big ass suitcase, get to the other terminal, check the bag, the whole deal, just to find out, oh, lo and behold, my flight's delayed. And then it gets delayed again. And then it gets delayed again. It got delayed 4 times because the air or whatever, like the weather in Chicago is bad. So then finally get on the plane, fucking fly there. And I'm like, all right, I'll get a taxi to my hotel. How long is the fucking taxi? Oh, it's an hour. It's an hour drive in the fucking taxi to get to the hotel. And we are in bumper to bumper traffic for an hour. And this cab driver is just going, gas brake, gas brake, gas brake. And I'm like, bro, my fucking neck already hurts as it is. And you're just like, it would have been comparable to going to a Slipknot concert and headbanging in the mosh pit for a fucking hour without having a choice. Like, you didn't have a choice in the matter. Like, I was basically just fucking headbanging in the backseat of this taxi cab for an hour until I get to my hotel, walk in the door, set up the same fucking podcast equipment that I used this morning, and now we're doing Name Redacted to talk about a Red Sox team that just got fucking swept to lose, what, 6 straight? 5 straight? 6 straight?
5 straight.
5 straight. Might as well be 6 straight. Probably going to fucking lose tomorrow, too. Are they playing tomorrow?
Yes, unfortunately.
They're going to fucking lose that game too, Tyler. So, God damn it. I am in a foul mood. I obviously haven't eaten dinner. Took me 9.5 hours to get to my destination just to set up to talk about a team that I have absolutely no interest in talking about. Jake, how do you feel about the Red Sox right now? Well, you were at the game. How was your experience of watching Brayan Bello no-hit the Marlins for 7 innings just to lose the game?
Yeah, I was there Wednesday for the rain delay. I was there tonight for Baio, your stud ace, just going out there and shoving, and you can't score a fucking run for him. It's just the fact that I even went to either of these games is just so stupid. I don't know why I gave them my money, but
it's just so
yeah,
stupid.
it just fucking sucks to watch this team right now.
It sucks. Like, I'm not having fun. Like that's the conversation that I had with my dad on the way to the airport. I was like, I'm not having fun. Like, I am not having fun. I think in 2015, when the Red Sox were in last place, it's like, yeah, they were in last place again, back-to-back year, which is what we're dealing with, a second consecutive last place season. But at least in 2014, it was like Mookie Betts came up and you had Jackie Bradley and Xander Bogaerts was there. Like, you saw the core was forming, like the next championship core was forming in 2014 and around that time. And then into 2015, they were starting to, whatever. And you were 1 year away from a first place division title and en route to 3 consecutive division titles, which had never happened in franchise history at that point. Then you had the Pablo Sandoval drama, which was, yes, it was bad, but it was fun. Like, that was entertaining. Like, that was a huge podcast storyline in 2015 was the Pablo Sandoval theatrics. This year, no, you're just in last place again. They're boring as fuck. I'm not entertained. Like,
the American League is better than we've ever seen. So you're you're mediocre, but you're sitting in a spot where the chances of you climbing in the division or even the wild card feel almost impossible. It doesn't feel like you're even in the league of multiple teams that are in front of you. And that's where you sit there and you question that gap, right? Like, it's like, damn, the gap feels so wide. And then you, on top of it, like, I'm watching Tristan Casas sit for the second fucking day in a row, dude. We're sitting here in a mid-season where you're not going to win anything. You can't at least let me watch the young first baseman, one of your best prospects in recent memory, a top 30 prospect. You can't let me watch him in 2 games in this series. 2 games. Please let me watch the guy who's been one of the best hitters on the team this whole month, Jarren Duran. Like, thank you. One of the few guys who actually had a hit in the series for an RBI in that 9th inning. Another guy we're not seeing. Like, I need to see the young talent. Let that play. What was the most exciting thing about the series? Brayan Bello. Instead, we're watching the same kind of mediocrity where you have, like, I'm watching Justin Turner play first base again. Obviously, Casas has his limitations there. We're seeing them. He's working through them. Is watching Justin Turner there any fucking better for anyone? It's clearly not.
No. And I think what we're probably going to see as the team gets towards the trade deadline, like, you'll see plenty of Casas and plenty of Duran because they're going to trade Duvall, they're going to trade Turner, they're going to trade Kenley. That's where we're going. Like, that's where we're headed. And very opposite end of the spectrum of positivity, Horn. Like, that's where we're heading. That's where we should be heading. Like,
that's what makes sense for next year. They've always told you this was the route they were going to go. And the reality is, like, yeah, it's June 29th. It feels like where they were a week and a half ago going into that weekend series in New York. It was like, all right, they're one more bad series from this kind of falling through on them and it being very clear which direction they're going to go. It's better it happens now than whatever happened last year where they clung and got to the deadline and in August it fell through. It's better for it to fall through now. And it's just, you look around and you say, well, you're being negative. Like, oh, what happened? How'd you get here so quickly? You've taken more injuries. Where's the boost coming? There's no boost around the corner here that you can cling to. You know, we're smiling here because we got good Chris Sale news that may make him back by what? Mid-August? Like that's what we're smiling about. That's the reality of it. And you're sitting here praying for Yu Chang, who's at least another 10 or so days away. And that's not going to fix your offense.
Who the fuck is praying for Yu Chang?
Well, no, but to have something dependable at shortstop instead of, David Hamilton, who the Red Sox are pretending can play shortstop still when everyone told them ahead of time, no, he can't. Like, you're hoping for just decent defense.
Yeah, burn it to the ground. I texted Kevin Clancy, and I said, I am dangerously close to canceling the Red Sox season. And he said, why? What happened? He's like, usually like there's something that happens where you're just like, fuck this. Cancel the season. And I mean, Brayan Bello having a no-hitter through 7 and then losing that game, and him getting the loss. Like, I think it would have been different if it's like, all right, he completes 7 no-hit innings and then, fucking whoever goes out there in the 8th inning and gives it up and then they get the loss. That stings a lot less. Either way, what came out of this series besides Brayan Bello being a stud, but it's like you still can't even enjoy that because then you have the image of him on the top step of the dugout looking out there as his inherited run scores and in deep down. Like, so on the positive end of the spectrum, when he gives up the hit in the 8th inning, right? No hitter's over. He's just like looking at his guy. All right, where double play? Who's got me here? And he's just focused on the win. He doesn't give a fuck. There was no sight of disappointment that he just lost his no hitter. He was like, all right, we got to fucking turn 2 here. We're going to get out of this inning. We're going to get back in the dugout. Bats are going to start going and we're going to win this ball game. That's not what happened. Inherited runner scores. He's now on the hook for the loss after no hitting this team through 7. And then the Red Sox score 0 runs. Kenley goes out there. Alex scores trying. He's like, I'm going to put my closer out there, even though we're down by 1 to try and keep it to 1 so we can try and walk this thing off in the bottom of the 9th. Kenley gives up the bomb to Jazz Chisholm. And I mean, I didn't have any confidence in the Red Sox. Once you got to the 9th and you hadn't scored a run, you ain't scoring a run. Like that's just the way that things have gone. But the second Jazz Chisholm hits that home run off of Kenley, it might as well have been a walk-off home run as a road team. That game was fucking over the second that Jazz Chisholm hits that home run.
You add in the fact in the 8th inning when you're sitting there and this offense has been dead as fuck, you score 3 runs in a friggin' series. Really, we go back May 17th, you've been the 20th worst offense in terms of weighted runs created plus for over a month now. That's 6-week sample there for you. Same 6-week sample, the rotation's been the 5th best in baseball. Gene Segura shits his pants. He makes an error. It's like you're looking for a break if you're the Red Sox, and you get it. And guess what happens? You can't do anything with it, and there's bad managerial moments in there where for some reason you put David Hamilton in the game. Why the fuck isn't he stealing second earlier? Like, this is the fastest guy on the team. He's faster than Duran. He glides out there. You don't send him. Instead, you try to sacrifice with Connor Wong, pops it up, and then the 2 guys on the lineup who you can depend on to make contact, Verdugo, Turner, strike out. Like, talk about just every sense of the way. There's headaches and there's things to complain about and be upset about. Yep. But it all piles on. When you don't fucking hit the baseball, everything else becomes a problem. And this team hasn't hit the baseball consistently outside a 6-game stretch for 6 weeks.
I'm over it. We're still going to watch. We're still going to talk about the fucking games. But like, I feel like this podcast, like I said, we're still going to talk about the games, but I think the primary focus now becomes broader. Like, we're not talking about the playoffs. We're not talking about can the Red Sox right the ship. We're not talking about any of that because I don't even give a fuck about the day-to-day anymore. It's what do they do with the trade deadline? It's where's the light at the end of the tunnel? It's how do they get back to being a competitive franchise because right now they're an unserious franchise.
My question to you would be, they're 2 games under 500 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're right about there. Is it too early? Now, are you saying this because you're like, in the next 2 weeks, this is going to go completely off the rails? Or are you more just upset that they're going to float around this 500 mark all year? Because I think if you're saying they're going to float around the 500 mark, isn't that kind of like what they are to some degree? I think if the ground falls through, then you're going to hear me start to say there and be like, fuck this team. I can't do it. Right now, they're a little worse than I thought they'd be, but they're right there. I'm concerned that in the next couple of weeks, the floor is falling through. Because I just don't know where the help's coming.
No, I'm not there. I don't think that they're going to just completely shit the bed. They're just as likely to lose the next 5 as they are to win the next 5. Like
that's who they are.
Yeah, that's who they are. That's why I think they're going to flounder around 500 the rest of the way. Which again, it's like, well, isn't that what they are? Well, no, I picked them to win 86 games. I thought that they would be somewhere in the middle and then they would hit their stride and make it interesting. They're not making it interesting. They're not. Like they're 2 games under 500. I think that some of the guys that have overperformed have come back down to earth. Some of the guys that you expected to be great have not been great, like Rafael Devers. Chris Sale getting hurt. Really
Schreiber.
Hurt. Yep. There's a lot of things that you can point to for not necessarily why they're not good, but why they're not going to take off. And if you're holding out hope for Trevor Story to rejoin this team and somehow that's the rocket that they strap to their ass and then take it to the moon, I don't like he's a good player. He's not that player. He's not the guy that he's not like an MVP caliber player. He's a good player. He's a very good player, but you're not that guy. And he will probably be the first to tell you that. Like, you know, yes, I can come back and I can stabilize the defense at shortstop. I can probably hit you some home runs. I can drive in some runs. That's going to make a positive impact. But it's not the difference of the Yankees getting back Aaron Judge. You know what I mean?
No, I think the difference with Story is kind of what we've seen when they've settled in with the shortstop. Like when you had that Yu Chang stretch where you went on a winning streak. What was the other winning streak you went on once you made that change? It was Pablo Reyes, right? Those are the two. I think that's where they could say, all right, we're a team that's closer to a couple games better than 500 than a couple games under. I think where you are right now is like you're one more bad injury from this getting really bad.
Yeah.
Like if you lose one more starter, like we'll talk about Dinelson Lamet today, but like that's where you are right now.
We're going to talk about Dinelson Lamet. Did you just tease a Dinelson Lamet segment?
What else choice do you have? Pedro Martinez is making the friggin' call, but that's where they are, where they're like pressing on these signings.
That fucking detail of it, because Pedro Martinez. Oh, remember when Pedro told John Henry to go get David Ortiz? Let me tell you right now. Tyler. Dinelson Lamet. I'm gonna tell you right now, he's not gonna be the David Ortiz of pitching signings.
Shut the fuck, dude. Are you even a Sox fan, bro? Do you even like fucking care?
Fucking like
the like, come on, kid,
bro,
please.
I am. I think, and I'll admit. Okay, hand up. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. Is part of my disgust about the Boston Red Sox, is that because I'm tired and exhausted and burnt out professionally? Yes. I think that is a contributor. Yes, I think. Part of my disdain towards this team has to do with a bad travel day and having a very full plate career-wise. Yes, I do think that that's part of it. But you strip away that, and it's still a disappointing 2019 where you were talented enough to maybe not go back-to-back, but you could have gone back-to-back or at least threatened going back-to-back. That didn't come close to happening. 2020 was an abomination, but I'm happy it was abomination because you got Marcelo Meyer because of it.
Punt season.
We all would have sat here and been like, you know, if the Red Sox won the World Series in 2020, like the Dodgers hadn't won it since '88. Okay, like you hadn't itched that scratch. You haven't scratched that itch in a long time. So fine, you want to celebrate that? That's fine. I think Red Sox fans would have felt differently about it. It would have been like the bastard child of the 5 World Series titles that we would have had. 21, that was a nice little surprise. You came up for air. That was the come up for air year. You still fell short, but we didn't expect to get that far in the first place. Last year, fucking terrible. This year, fucking terrible. And when I say terrible, do I mean that the record's bad? No, I just mean it's not fun. Like, it's not enjoyable baseball.
But like the difference is, like, when we talk 2022, right? Like, that 78 win season is terrible because you had championship aspirations, right? Like, that was a team, you went over the luxury tax, you added Trevor Story right before the year started. That team was supposed to compete for a World Series and they doubled down on it. This year, it is a little different for me at times, and I don't feel as much pain as I did with last year's team because I know how they believe in this team. Their words may say one thing, their actions have proved another. They're under the luxury tax. They've talked about the young players needing to take step forwards. Chaim Bloom did an interview with Ian Brown that just came out over the last couple days, and he talked about, he's like, what's the best thing about the team this year? It's the young guys. It's watching them develop. That's what this team's about. And he kind of reemphasized that, and that's what I kind of cling to. But yeah, it sucks because this team has more potential than the way they're playing. I think we all see it right now.
On that same note, right? If the comp is 2014 and that's the year, it's like, all right, first full season of Jackie, first full season of Xander. Here comes Mookie Betts. And you want to make that comp to 2023 with Baio, with Whitlock, with Houck. It's like, well, Whitlock, everyone is now freaking out about, which we'll get to that in a second. I think my take will probably surprise you, Tyler. But people are already like fucking put Whitlock back in the bullpen.
Oh, dude, you should have saw my freaking mentions. Like, and I did not say.
Hold on. We'll get there.
We'll get into it.
We'll get there. We'll get there. People are already freaking out about Whitlock, and which kind of in the same way, people did that about Bogarts in 2014. They moved Bogarts from shortstop to third base. You had Steven Drew at short. And then, you look at the Tanner Houck situation, and that's not his fault that he got a comebacker to the face, but the motherfucker just had surgery to put a plate in his goddamn face yesterday, the day before, whatever it was. Happy birthday, Tanner Houck, by the way. I think today's his birthday.
That's true today?
Yeah, I think it's his birthday today.
I feel like I saw that on... I must be thinking of someone else that I saw on Twitter recently. Maybe it was Wink, whose birthday was recently.
Bobby Dahlbeck's birthday also today. Happy birthday, Bobby Dahlbeck.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shout out back, going back to Worcester.
Yeah. Yeah. He, I love Bob. I would die for Bob. I would take a bullet for Bob.
What happened to Bullet?
He died.
He did die. You're right.
I could say something mean, but I'm not gonna.
What?
I'm not gonna say it because I'm a classy guy.
What, you're gonna shit talk a 3-year-old girl?
No, whoa. I was gonna shit talk Bobby Delvick, but
I'm not gonna do that.
Birthday.
It's his birthday.
No, happy birthday, big birthday guy.
Happy birthday, Bobby Dahlbeck and Tanner Houck. But yeah, no, I am emotionally no longer invested in this team. I'm not, which I hate to admit because it's a bad business strategy, right? Like, we want Red Sox fans to care about the Red Sox because if they care about the Red Sox, then they care about this show. But I'm just being transparent and honest. I don't have an emotional attachment to this team. And I'm sure that there are plenty of people that feel the same way. And when I mean the team, you're not saying the organization, right? Like, you're still like, I'm still going to watch all 162. Like, I love the Red Sox. I don't love the 2023 Red Sox. I just don't. Like, there's nothing grabbing me outside of every fifth day I get to watch Brayan Bello, and I know that I'm seeing something special, and I know that I'm like, out of everyone that they've sold us on being the next piece of a Red Sox championship core, the only one that I truly believe is guaranteed to be a part of that is Brayan Bello. And you may be wondering, what do you mean? You don't believe in Tristan Casas? I do believe in Tristan Casas, but I also am reading between the lines here that, I mean, we had the story in The Athletic where, the coaches are like, what the fuck? Like, work on your footwork. Like, you're talking about your footwork, but you don't work on it. And there seems to be like some sort of friction between player and team. They might just be like, all right, like, if someone else sees it, then here you go. We can trade him for pitching. Like, I don't think that it's a guarantee.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't think it
is that.
No, it's not.
Have you heard that?
No.
Interesting.
No. But I'm just saying, like, if you were to ask me to power rank who is the Red Sox are going to win the World Series in 2026, who can you bet your bottom dollar is still going to be here? I got Brayan Bello on that list, and I don't know that I have anyone else guaranteed to be on that list, right?
Yeah, it's hard, right? Like the Garrett Whitlock conversation, what we've seen the last couple starts. Tanner Houck, who knows, as a reliever or starter. I think all of these guys will be there in some capacity, especially on the pitching end. And trades are going to happen. So, this is connecting a lot of dots. The Tristan Casas stuff, it to me feels like there's a constant... And I don't know if it's Core trying to send a message to Casas and being like... And it feels like whenever he has one of these games, that awful play, or not awful, but he didn't get charged for an error, but the Joey Wendell ball that popped up on him right in the fourth inning of the first game, it's ugly. It seems like Cora's tried to send a message with that kind of stuff, and I'm just, I understand the frustration, but when you don't really have better options there and you need a young player, like that doesn't seem like a lack of effort thing. We're watching him put in the work pregame, are we not? Like, you're watching this guy, you're telling me you thought he was a Gold Glover when he came up, and your coaching isn't getting him where he needs to go. I've never heard Tristan Casas isn't willing to be coached. He may go and give a response that says, hey, I believe in what I do and yada yada. Have I ever heard anything of the guy not willing to put the work in?
No.
Fuck no. I've actually heard the complete opposite. So
I've
that's
seen
where
the
I sit there.
complete opposite. I've seen the complete opposite. Last night was the rain delay, right? That was last night. So
Correct.
last night, I don't know if you saw this because I don't know that it was on TV, but during the rain delay, and that's not to say that other guys aren't doing their own work behind the scenes, but Casas was the only guy out on the field getting loose, but when they were about to take the tarp off, and he wasn't even in the lineup. He was like getting loose, even though he wasn't even guaranteed to play in this game. And that stuff stands out to me. Like, I don't think that it's not a lack of effort when it comes to Casas. Like, the guy cares. Like, he wants to be good. He wants to be elite. They fucking deleted the interview with Casas that we had on Section 10, but when we interviewed him for a couple days after the draft,
That's who he is.
He was talking about being the greatest. Like, like, he's motivated, and I feel like that still shows itself. But I think it's a combination. You're crossing paths of, I want to be great, but I want to do it my way, and I am doing it my way, which I feel like you do have to learn to adjust and be like, all right, these guys probably know more than me, which is not always the case. Like, talk to a guy like Josh Donaldson, and he'll tell you, like, yeah, coming up through the minors, you know how many guys told me to hit the ball down, like swing down? And he's like, no, you swing up, like hit homers, like hit the ball in the gap. So yeah, it's not a perfect system where you can be a young player who doesn't want to listen to your coaches, and that means that you are an insubordinate, or you're just tough to coach, or you're uncoachable. If you believe in your process, then stick to your process. It's worked before. Josh Donaldson won an MVP telling coaches to fuck off. Like, that's the truth.
And we've watched, I think with Tristan Casas, one of the things that always impresses me with a young player is like, how many guys have a bad first month and it just snowballs and it's like a whole bad year and you're like, oh shit, like you got to throw that one away and try again. Tristan Casas had a horrendous April/March where he looked completely unlike the guy that we had talked about. Then it got a bit better in May. He became above league average hitter. And then this month he's taken off. Don't you kind of sit there and say, all right, well, this guy has shown he's responded through adversity before. He's shown he can kind of battle through it. Even when we called him out, he started hitting more and more. And yeah, they called him out for defense, but to continue to show up and not dwell on it, that speaks to me. That's a guy I look at and I say, all right, keep pushing him. Let him go out there. Let him take those bruises and bumps. Because I remember there was a time, back in 2014 where players and coaches looked at JBJ and Xander Bogaerts and Mookie Betts weirdly. And we're like, oh, these guys, they're young. They're the next comers. You got to be willing to understand this is some of the growing pains that happen with a young player. I don't care that you want to give Casas a break against a lefty here and there. Sure, that's fair, especially a tough one. Is he supposed to be a platoon bat for the rest of his fucking life? Like, this isn't a team pushing for a championship. At the end of the day, he needs to face lefties. If this is the guy you waited years on and you bet on him, he needs to face a lefty. Like, or he's just, what is he going to be? Your next platoon guy? That's absurd to me. That is bad for development. I understand trying to win. Well, guess what? Whatever you fucking ran out yesterday and you scored 2 runs and it got you down 0-2 in this series, when you need a run that badly, when the offense has been dead for some time and you're sitting one of the hottest hitters on your team, that's a bad fucking look. It'd be one thing if Turner was playing great defense or anything like that. He doesn't. You're pushing him. You're pushing a 38-year-old guy out there more and more. You have a first baseman in Casas. Let him keep hitting. He's been one of the few bats you can depend on. And I still think below Baio, I have so much faith in Casas still. I think the bat, what we've seen this month, is a lot closer to what we're going to see. And I'd probably put Whitlock at 2. Casas would be my number 3 if you're talking guys that I can pencil in and say that are going to be here for, a 2026 World Series or whatever it may be.
Jake, where are you at on the usage or lack thereof of Tristan Casas in the series, kind of given the circumstances? Because I feel like it's not like at least tonight when you saw like Luzardo, like lefty, because that's why we didn't see Duran either. But like having back-to-back days off doesn't, unless there's something that we don't know, right? Like if there's something barking, there's something barking. Like I don't know. But where are you at on that, Jake?
Yeah, like back-to-back days feels excessive, especially at this point when like you're 4.5 out of the wild card, and like people are going to Fenway right now and they just want to see young guys like that playing, and it's tough. Like I don't want to see fucking any slapdick out there just booting balls all over the infield. Like I want to watch like the guys that are supposedly going to be cornerstone players in the future. So yeah, I would definitely love to see the young guys in there more, like especially at this point.
Like we're watching David Hamilton. Why is it infuriating? Because the guy's not a fucking shortstop. He's not. Everyone's knowing he's not a shortstop. He's faking it out there, and they're at this point in their depth. Casas is a guy you have spent so much time waiting for and building on, and he's showing you something. He's showing you more than something. And you're just like, whatever. Go sit your ass on the bench another day. I'm sure that's a great way to treat a guy who's finally figuring it out at the big league level. Go sit down for a couple days and then we'll come back to you and figure it out. Don't worry about ever hitting fucking lefties. Who gives a fuck? Why do you need to hit lefties? That's fucking stupid. Just hit righties and we'll sit there. You can be our platoon bat. Our fucking platoon bat of the future. Great way. Great way to develop guys. Awesome. Fucking spot on. Like, don't sit here and tell me all this shit about this team. And, Corey, you've told me how many fucking times this year. It's not a great team. They're not a bad team. You're right somewhere in the friggin' middle. Guess what? That means you need to build to become a great team. Are you going to become a great team with Justin Turner playing first base for you? No, you're going to become a great team, or a great team with your number friggin' top 30 prospect in baseball becoming the star he's supposed to be. That's how you become a great team, unless you want to stay mid for the foreseeable future.
It's a good rant. Let me ask you this trivia: how many players have played shortstop for the Boston Red Sox this year? In the first half of this year,
first half, let's go 6,
7.
Ooh. Oh, I forgot Bob. I'm not counting Bob.
He has 10 games at shortstop. He's not even the player that's played the least amount of shortstop. Hamilton's played 7 games at shortstop.
No way he played 10 games at shortstop. Delbeck?
Maybe defensively. He had 4 plate appearances as a shortstop. And Manuel Valdez. No, it's Manuel. It is. Manuel Valdez, 1 plate appearance as a shortstop. David Hamilton, 17 plate appearances as a shortstop. Yu Chang, 38. Kike Hernandez, 210. Pablo Reyes, 41. Christian Arroyo, 9. Anyways, baseball fans, you could be winning every inning with the hottest offers in the game from DraftKings Sportsbook. They've got you covered on from the top of the first to the bottom of the 9th all season long. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can take a shot at bigger payouts with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Open the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, place your parlay by combining 3 or more bets from the same game. Every additional leg gets you an extra boost up to 100%. Step up to the plate right now with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app, sign up with the promo code Jared, Jared. New customers can bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly, only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code Jared. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance. Opt-in and 10-plus leg requirement for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. We're going to end up doing this on Sunday, but I actually have 2 segment ideas because I fucking hate this team. So I have 2 segment ideas. Segment number 1, we're bringing back the Red Sox lottery.
Woohoo!
We're bringing back Red Sox lottery starting on Sunday. And segment number 2, I don't know how we're going to do it process-wise. Like, I don't know if it's going to be like a only if they win thing. We have so many segments only if they win. Like we've got like fucking Tyler's haikus, we've got Clark's ketchup, all this shit. There's a lot of segments that are dormant during series losses. And the Red Sox just got swept, so there won't be Clark's catch-up again. Did you know that they only won 2 series in June and they were both the Yankee series?
Yeah, like that's where you are. This isn't, it's hard to justify. Like it was nice that 6-game winning streak, but you flushed it completely down the fucking toilet. This has been bad baseball, especially on one side of the ball for a long period of time now. It's not a short period.
We only drizzled that ketchup twice in the month of June.
I haven't wrote a haiku in over a week.
That's crazy.
I've lost my fucking. I was spitting bars. I got nothing now.
You were cooking. But the new segment that I thought of, it also has us. These are both sponsored. The Red Sox lottery is sponsored by DirecTV, right, Jake? DirecTV, sponsored by DirecTV. And the the Red Sox call of the week. We're gonna talk to each other, Jake, me, you, and we're gonna come up with the call of the week from the broadcast. And that is brought to you by BlackBerry. So we will be doing the call of the week on the podcast.
I think that's a good idea because I don't know. I'm a little scared at the same time, though. Shout out to the Nesson broadcast. They do a lot of good things. As we get farther along here, I think there's been winning streaks where we've talked and, Dave, can we get a little bit more? What's going to happen if we're,
it doesn't have to be that. Like when Bill Burr was on the broadcast and he was talking about killing his wife. Like that's funny. Like that could be the call of the week. It could just be something that somebody said.
We're going to need Bill Burr in the booth a lot. We're going to need that for those Lamette starts.
Well, I think also the fans can submit for a call of the week. They can be like, that's a call of the week candidate.
That's fair.
Doesn't have to be just our opinion. It could be fans.
Is there any calls from the last week that come to mind?
No.
You need to win some games for that.
Got to win some games. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah. Also, people were asking. What was it? Tuesday. Clay Buchholz was at Fenway. Threw out the first pitch before the game. I was in the dugout. Clay Buchholz was in the dugout. What happened?
You guys continue the makeup.
The answer to that question may shock you. Nothing happened. I don't think he recognized me. Or maybe he did. I don't know. But I think Millar was obviously the buffer there. Millar was in the dugout earlier with his kids. And then his kids went in the outfield to go shag during BP. And I think Millar went on the third base dugout side to do intentional talk. And then Clay was on the dirt for batting practice. And then when batting practice was over, he came down into the dugout and I was in the dugout. But I don't think we didn't even make eye contact. So I really don't think maybe he did know. I don't know. Either he did or he didn't. But the last update before that was that Millar had randomly FaceTimed me. It was either last summer or the summer before. I can't remember, but it was maybe last summer. I don't know. Millar had FaceTimed me and I answered and it was Clay. And then we had a verbal exchange where, burying the hatchet. So that's why I would think he probably didn't see me if he came into the dugout and he didn't even look at me. So I wasn't going to be the one to approach him and be like, hey, because we already had the conversation. We already had the makeup conversation, so to speak. But maybe I should have. That maybe that's a regret. Do you think that I should have been the one to go up to him and say hi? I feel like it's because I was the one that was an asshole. I feel like it's his place to say hi versus me go up to him. I don't know.
It seemed it seemed like somewhat of a special night for him. First time being back at Fenway since he retired. So I don't blame you for not wanting to be up his ass or whatever it may be.
Yeah, he was with his family.
I think
he was like taking pictures of his kids in the dugout. Like, I'm not gonna like.
You don't want to be that guy. Where I would say now though is the fact that he's returned to Fenway, said hello, like kind of, this is Boston. This is where I made most of my career, my legacy. Maybe that continues to open the door towards looking back on those memories. Like he's already flipping through the scrapbook a little bit now. Why not do it with me? Or, with Jared in this case. Why can't we have that conversation? And if you're willing to say hello to the fans, come say hello to the fans in another way.
Yeah.
You don't even have to leave your house.
The reason I think why he was so upset with me was because he was a Barstool fan. So he was like, you made it so that I couldn't look at my favorite website anymore because you were like shitting on me. And so like I used to be like a diehard Barstool fan. And then I would go to my favorite website and see horrible things about me. So I stopped going. Like, you ruined that for me. And I was like, that makes sense. I was like, I get why you'd be mad. And I have tried to walk that one back for a long time now. Because I just didn't understand. Like, I didn't understand the inner workings of Major League Clubhouse. I just kind of assumed that if a guy was not good, that the other players on the team were like, well, that guy sucks. Like, he's not good like us. But they all loved him. So like that's why, shit wasn't cool back in the day. So but
hey, you're a younger dude. You can come out and say like that was part of the learning process, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that's something I learned just being around the dugout, being around players, talking to players.
Yeah.
You took those bumps. I think anyone can say, all right, like look at who you are now. Look at the connections you've made. It's clear that you've understood the dynamic and what it takes to have those relationships.
Sure. And I think the part of it too was like the Pablo Sandoval thing where like crushing Pablo Sandoval. It's like, here's a guy that sucks. I'm going to crush him. So then now my brain is learning like, oh, if you crush the guy that sucks, like that's going to elevate you. Like people are going to think that that's funny. You're going to be the edgy badass that can say things about players that other people in the media can't say. And I'm sure for a lot of people, I don't know that anyone outside of like Hanley and Poppy liked Pablo. Like I don't think that he was very popular in that clubhouse, or at least it doesn't seem that way since the number of players that have come out since then and been like, yeah, fuck that guy. Whether publicly or privately, even with the Giants, like his World Series teammates were like, fuck that guy. But it just wasn't the same dynamic with Clay. Like it's like, yeah, he sucks, but he's a good guy and we like Clay. So that was a learning experience for me. But that podcast interview, I hope that it still comes to fruition someday. Even just like, on Monday when I was down the Cape with the Bourne Braves, and I did like the first pitch for the Bourne Braves with Salty, and it's like, you like these. When I'm in the Red Sox dugout and Caleb Ort just gives me the side eye, like we like make eye contact for a split second, and then he looks away and then keeps walking. It's just so different with active players versus like. I can talk to Salty like he's just a normal guy, and like a lot of those like Johnny Gomes like being at my house watching like that's a World Series championship team. Will Middlebrooks came over for my fucking WrestleMania party. These are all major league players that had success at the big league level, won a World Series, and you can just talk to them like they're normal people. But you throw a jersey on a guy, and the whole dynamic changes. It's like you think that you walk on water, and like the last time that Pat Light was on the show. He talked about that where he was like, yeah, I wish that, he's like, when I was playing, he's like, I embraced, like fans talking shit or whatever. And I wish guys weren't so sensitive, but they just are. Like they just naturally are. But I feel like whenever you retire, you just gain that perspective of it's not that serious, and that doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of life. But
I think that's everybody, though. Like when you're not in it yourself, or when you can disconnect from yourself, you don't realize it. But I bet there's been times in your life where you were like, holy fuck, like, dog, what I'm going through right now, if you aren't doing what I'm doing, you don't get it. Like you do not understand it. And then you get out of it a year or two later, you're like, all right, I was being a little fucking dramatic. You know what I mean? Like I was grinding, but there's people who could relate or understand. And that's why someone like Joe Kelly is like so beloved here, because that's the guy who like was
Joe
like
had beef, like his same thing.
Right. but also the guy who could be like, hey, Boston fans, like, dog, I love you for shitting on me. Certain guys cannot take it, and they take it offensively, and it sticks with them. Dude, I'm young and in this, and I've heard things with comments I've made, and people are like, all right, like, watch those comments, right? Like, that doesn't work. It's just, it takes a lot of rare builds for some guys to kind of shrug that off or whatever it is. But that's the difference between a lot of the time guys who are made for here and guys who aren't, and some of the guys that become, folklore heroes that we talk about for years and years after they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe Kelly's another guy. Like, Joe Kelly went from a dude that had me blocked on Twitter to, like, I would drive him home from the bar. and we would fucking, like, I would drive him home and we would sit outside of his house like we were in high school and, like, talk in the car until fucking 2:30 in the morning. And then when it was like, oh man, time for bed, I'm gonna go inside now. Like shit like that. That's why when like the Caleb Ort thing happened, I'm like, bro, like, just fucking, instead of walking by and side-eyeing me and whatever and acting all high and mighty, I'm sitting here. Like, there are a lot of people in Boston sports media that talk shit that don't show up. Not only do I show up multiple times a homestand, and they're usually the same days. And I'm not just fucking hiding up in the press, but like now down in the field or behind. I'm in the fucking dugout. I'm sitting in there. Have a fucking seat next to me. We'll have a conversation. But that's something that I didn't have available to me back in 2015 with, like, the Buckholz stuff and the Sandoval stuff. Not that I would have apologized to Pablo Sandoval. Let's be serious. I would have been like, go fuck yourself. I think that one
was personal. That was personal.
Yeah. Yeah, that was personal. I don't think that, I don't anticipate us ever crossing paths outside of, I don't know if you remember this. Did you listen to Starting Nine?
Early, and then I would say I fell off.
Yeah, so there was, I can't remember what year it was, maybe 18 or 19. Pablo, for charity, was donating a free hitting lesson. And Dallas was going to try and be the highest bidder to win it and then sign me up for it. And I think someone on Pablo's side of things, it had gotten back to him that Dallas was doing this, and they were like, absolutely not. Like, this is not happening. So,
this is like Portnoy trying to have or watch a game with Roger Goodell, and they're like, yes. Fuck no matter what, like, shut this shit down at all costs.
Like, Dallas was ready to donate 10 grand for something that probably went for like $575. He's like, I will be the highest bidder for this. And they were like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen anytime soon, pal.
No. I just think, like you said, in kind of how you look at players, there's some guys, David Price, who came here and, like, wasn't scared to kind of answer back and go back and forth with the media while he was here. But I think as he experienced his time, he realized there was a different way you kind of go about it. And, there's still a lot of fans and parts of the fan base that didn't respect him. But by the end, like, from an on the field standpoint and what he was able to give to you and say, hey, like, I got all the cards now. That was a guy to me who kind of said, like, all right, that's the transformation in Boston, where you see a guy who at first it really, sits a wrong way with him. And at the end of the day, he was like, hey, I realize I did the fucking thing on the field. All of you have to shut your mouth and clap for me at the parade now. Right? Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's all about, hey, you show up on the field. That's what fans are going to boo or applaud you for. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I respected him so much for that line, because it wasn't just David Price finally won a World Series, so it's fuck everyone. Like, he struggled in the postseason for multiple organizations, and even though it only lasted for maybe a couple of days, because Greinke ended up surpassing him like within 48 hours for like the most lucrative contract for a pitcher in baseball history. But at the time, it's like, yeah, I signed at the time that I inked the deal, it was the most lucrative contract in baseball history for a pitcher. So it comes with all those expectations. And I think the writing was on the wall with Price, where I don't think that he wanted to come here. Like,
St. Louis, they gave me 20 million more.
More than that. I think that.
What did it end up being? Was it 40?
It was
30?
Yeah, it was 180.
Yeah, so 217 was the final deal.
Yeah, so he got way more to come here, and I don't think that he wanted to come here. But it was always a great fit. Like, I mean, I can memorize the shit now because I talked about it so much at the time when Price signed here. But he had outstanding numbers against AL East teams. He had great numbers at Fenway Park. Yada yada. You go down the line. It was just, the elephant in the room was that he sucks in the playoffs, and he made light of that at the press conference. He said, "I was saving my wins for the Red Sox," and blah blah blah. And lo and behold, he kind of was. He got his shit pushed in against the then Indians in the 16 division series. He was hurt in 17, but he was pretty good. Like, he was shut down out of the bullpen against the Astros in 17, and then in 18 he was a god. He gave up that bomb to Judge in the second game of the division series. Like, it looked like, oh fuck, here we go again in 18, and then was lights out in Houston, and then in the World Series he pitched the clincher and fucking went 8. Like, that's it. Like, I hold the cards now. Fuck you.
David Price is one of those guys, and it's still, I know a lot of people say Section 10, like 2018, that was their era for young Tyler Milliken, the bunk beds, all that shit. That was like my like prime era of like hypeness. You get going to the presser, dude, and like the whole back and forth in that moment, like that to me is like my favorite era of Section 10, because it was just like, dude, you were watching you become who you are, right? Like, the connections with the Red Sox were linking.
That was also like Portnoy's first, like Dave knew who I was as a Red Sox blogger, but I don't think he really at that point knew what the deal was. Because I remember he was tweeting about it, being like, why is David Price shouting out our Red Sox guy at his press conference for like being the richest pitcher in fucking Red Sox history? Like, that was
David, you've been very active on social media as a player. I'm curious how your interactions with Red Sox fans have changed since this news broke compared to before.
You can,
first of all.
Well, it's changed a lot over the years. I mean, Jared and I, we didn't, well, he wasn't very fond of me, but, I never had a problem. But now, that guy's asked me to come stay at his house. We'll get bunk beds and, all that type of stuff.
You know what's crazy is, like, that was it. Like, the press
that was it. Yeah, the bit.
We never, like, I don't even think, I can't remember, because he didn't come around a lot. Like, 18 was my first year with press passes. I don't think I ever saw him in the dugout, like, nothing. Like, he was very to himself with the Red Sox. I don't think we saw each other in person again until Dallas and I went to spring training in 2020, and I saw him with the Dodgers. Like, he was throwing a bullpen with the Dodgers, finished his bullpen, came over and said hi, and then off he went. And that's the last time I saw him in person.
And listen, I don't know if it was because of this, but he just seemed like a guy who never, like, he wasn't about the drama. And unfortunately, when you come to the city, you get thrown in the drama. There was a reason there was 16-year-old Tyler Milliken calling up to Felger and Maz under different names. Because, dude, I remember people were trying to diagnose him with things. They were trying to say he had this or that. Like, oh, he was a head case, all this different stuff. I'm like, dude, it's David Price. Like, we're talking about one of the best pitchers of his generation. Is he the guy he once was? No, he clearly is on the second half of his career trying to figure it out. And then you had like the X stuff, which obviously exploded and became, a really tough storyline for him, the organization, Eck, followed Pedroia. But at the end of the day, what I always go back to was how his teammates supported him, backed him, and, say what you will, obviously, I think he has regrets about how that situation played out with Eck. There were a lot of teammates that applauded that situation in that moment. Those were the reports and the details that came out. He was a guy known to back his teammates no matter what. And did he always go about it the perfect way in that instance? Probably not. But his teammates loved him. That was a guy who, no matter what, was a leader in that clubhouse and was kind of the lead of a staff that you need during those stretches, along with the Chris Sale and some of those other names that ended up being there. But for a Red Sox team going into another era competing, he was an important, very important voice in all of that.
He was. And I think it was cool. I don't know that he would mind me sharing this. when I made my MLB Network debut last April, whenever that was, he reached out and he said, "Cool seeing you on TV and moving up in your world. Dopest part about it was your kicks yesterday. Super fresh. Hope you're doing well." Like that, I've always even though he's retired, maybe that there's more opportunity there to have the conversation. I would fucking fly to wherever he is. I think he's maybe in the Nashville area. I would love to just sit down and have that conversation with David Price and talk about his life in baseball and everything in between, because he's a fascinating person. Like, he's a fascinating person beyond like just the pitcher. I'm sure he's got great baseball stories, but David Price, the guy, has got to have some things that he wants to say. And I'm sure that he's got other people in sports media that he has a relationship with. But as far as like guys that have followed it from draft day till retirement and had his back through the ups and downs without turning on him, that's got to be a short list. That's got to be a short list.
And on top of the stuff he's done off the field, like, he was one of the, I still remember, maybe the first thing that comes to mind about David Price outside of that 18 World Series, the money he donated to all those minor leaguers. And the dude was like, don't publicize it. Don't tell anyone. Just like, these guys are fucked. We know where COVID is and everything. Let me try to help, over 200 guys. And he did that behind, doors. And it still came out, obviously. But that's who that guy was. A guy who, how many aces do we watch aren't willing to move to the bullpen when they realize maybe the stuff isn't where it once was, or, you're on a team like the Dodgers that has better options at this point. Dude went to the bullpen and never fucking said a word about it. Went and did the damn job.
And he was good.
Like, that's a professional. It's very solid. Everything you could ask for in that spot.
Yeah, and he was good. And the other thing, too, he stayed loyal to Vanderbilt. So when they built their new facility, I'm pretty sure he donated a large sum of money to the construction of the new facility. Plus, they added like a veterans clubhouse. So for their graduates that like, I'm sure it's for all alumni, but they made it with the former big leaguers or current big leaguers in mind. So like the Sonny Grays and the Mike Yastrzemskis of the world, like when they graduate or get drafted out of Vanderbilt and they want to come back and work out or come to visit, they have their own locker room there. And I'm pretty sure Price paid for that. So yeah, I mean, that's in addition to the Clay Buchholz conversation, like that's always been the one that I felt like should have happened that for whatever reason didn't. Like, I think you rewind back to the Price press conference, which was like December of 2015. If you were to watch that unfold and then tell me that that's the last interaction that we have during, like, he just signed a 7-year deal with the Red Sox. Introductory press conference. That's all you're going to get. Like, that's it. So,
I think that's the similarity though with Clay and David. It's like two guys who, were kind of maddening for media at different points because you felt like maybe there was more there or they weren't getting to the levels you would hope. Clay always hoping he was going to become that top of the rotation arm for years consistently. David Price, are you going to be the true number one ace you were, in the first half of your career? Never felt like you got that level from him. That's the reason you had to go get Chris Sale, right? Like, it always felt like he was all right, a solid number 2, number 3, and would pitch like a number 1 some days, but you couldn't do it consistently. But that got the media and fans, a lot of them turned their back on them at one point in time. And say what you will, Clay stepping up in 2013 when he obviously, wasn't fully healthy doing his thing. 2007, we know the no-hitter. You go all the way to David having his moment in 2018. I think there's just scars on some of those guys. And some people it leaves a good taste. Some people it leaves no taste. But I don't know. For those guys, they were never super open in certain aspects during the career. Price would speak his mind, right? But I think there were also other ways he was very guarded. And I think that's where you find a lot of that, where they're not going to open up and tell you exactly all their feelings or how they were during those stretches.
Yeah. I won't share it. I will save it for the day that I do get to interview David Price. But there was a message that Price sent to me while he was a free agent meeting with teams that I've always wanted to ask him about, but never got to ask him.
And this was before he signed with the Red Sox?
Correct. This was I'm looking at it now, November 29th, 2015. Yeah. So he in 2015 he asked me not to share it, so I will respect that. But I think now that he's retired, I can ask him about it, and then he can tell the story. If we ever sit down, I don't know. He's kind of like that's one of those guys that I'm afraid to even ask because I don't want to get the no, because then it's like, oh man, that sucks. Like I would rather it never happen and I never ask, because it's always like, well, the possibility was there, than to ask and get the no, and then it's like, well, now it's never going to happen. That would suck.
I wonder if there's a period of time you need to wait. Like Clay, I'd be like, yeah, it's been enough time.
Yeah.
For someone like David Price, does it need to be a couple more years before you get to that point?
Well, I mean, nothing ever went wrong. It was just that he
just in terms of like, are you far enough away from it to, open up about it and, be that vulnerable over it?
I mean, I think, him reaching out last year, goes to show that the relationship, like like a real recognized real type deal, because we didn't connect until 2013. Like it's been a long time. Like it's been 10 years. But who knows? Like maybe he's just at peace with everything. Maybe he doesn't care to talk about his career in a long form type interview. Maybe he just wants to just let it be what it is. I don't know, but I would love to find out. That I haven't thought about this in a while. So now that we're talking about it, maybe it's something that I can revisit.
As we work through the next couple months, it may not be a bad idea if we can mix some stuff like that in, right? I think maybe people would go through the good times a little bit.
Yeah, because I know I people have been saying to me like, "Oh, you're getting all these interviews with players out of town, but you guys aren't interviewing the Red Sox." It takes two to tango, and I saw the Reddit thread about like, "Oh, are you on the outs in the clubhouse?" No, it's just like I had this conversation with Heim on Tuesday. I had a conversation with Heim because I forget how we even like got on the topic of like media. Like we were talking about like regional coverage versus national coverage. Like how do I what Jared, like how do you act in certain ways? And I was like, it's not like I'm the same Jared, but it's a different approach. I was like, when I go over to the road dugout, like everyone is super friendly, super nice. They're happy to see you. And then you go to the Red Sox dugout, and it's not that they're not nice, but when you're the home team, you have your routines. Like this is your home. Like I do this at this time. I do that at that time. Like no one's just hanging around. Like on the road, guys are just hanging around. So it's more difficult to get a Red Sox player to sit down when it's like, well, this is the time that I usually eat my lunch, or like this is the time that I'm in the tub or whatever, or like I take a nap at this time. Like they're very routine oriented beings.
And then you throw in everything going on with the team currently.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I said was I said, I've used this example a bunch of times. In 2019, I went to Denver, and the Rockies were like fucking 50 games out of first place, and I got 7 interviews. That's when I met Trevor Story, got him. Nolan Arenado faced the franchise, Charlie Blackmon, like all these guys, like all of their top names. I got all of them in one day on the podcast, like the equivalent of coming in and getting Baio and Devers and Verdugo and Yoshida, like all these guys, like that in one day without having a prior relationship with anyone except for Nolan. That was it. So it's just different here. And I tried to explain it as this market, you're not allowed to be happy. If things are not going well in the field, you're not allowed to be happy. You cannot sit down with me and laugh and have fun and talk about, what's your favorite scary movie and like, what's your favorite, like what would be your walk-up song if you picked a movie theme song. Like that's stuff you're just not allowed to do in Boston, I guess. And it's still that way. Like you would think that it would start to turn, because it used to be you couldn't have fun if the team was bad because sports radio would crush you. But now sports radio doesn't even care about baseball. Like they don't even like talk about it. But I guess like that would be the one thing that they talked about. Like that the only time that they want to talk about baseball on sports radio is to like crush the players or
Dude, Casas has been getting his dick kicked in sports radio for a month now.
About what? Was there a say?
About those comments about him, after Cora came out and said, we're going to give him a little less time. Those comments have been almost a daily mention on the Sports Hub since they happened.
Oh my God.
But that's what it turns into, right? And then you wonder like why guys don't want to talk, right? Which I get it. It's like you don't want to become the headline at 2 p.m. the following day. Because then, then you're getting in your car and you're listening to yourself get shit on as you're on your way to the ballpark that day.
Yeah, maybe. That it is such a weird existence, like doing the media thing, because like if I'm on Sports Hub and I'm talking with Tony and we're shooting, like it's a real baseball conversation, and it's hardly ever positive on the Sports Hub, if we're being honest. We're not like Tony's not a tire pumper, and I respect that about him. Like that's why we go back and forth so well. But like I'm sitting there thinking like, you don't know who's listening to this. Like you don't know who maybe heard something that you said on the radio. And as I mentioned earlier, they're not going to say shit. Like no one has ever been the guy to come up and confront me without me knowing that it was going to happen. Like it just doesn't happen. Like it usually has to be me to go be like, I'm sorry. Like, are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Like that's what you have to do. Like they would rather just like suffer in silence and not say anything than be the guy to be like, yo, I fucking heard you said this. Like no one ever does that. They just don't do it. They would rather just like sit in the corner and be like, motherfucking, like when you could just have a conversation and be like, oh, you were joking? Oh, it was a bit? Oh, all right, my bad. All right, cool, man. Nice to meet you. That's it.
That's it. And like, I think the funny thing is, I remember it was 2021 whenever there was a video recorded in the Red Sox clubhouse, Felger and Maz was on there. And I've seen it even tweeting, like you tweet prospects with certain players, you'll see if they like one of your tweets, you'll notice like, oh, like he looked for his name. He was seeing who posted his home run that day or whatever it may be. That's what it is. Baseball players are like anybody, dude. If people are talking about you, they want to know what they're saying. They want to know how you're feeling them in a good way or in a bad way. Some guys feed off it in a good way. You're telling me Jarren Duran wasn't listening to everything being said about him a year ago, and that didn't lead to where he was? It plays both kind of alleyways here.
Yeah. Yep.
I bet Baio loves going on social media right now.
Yeah.
Brayan Bello is having a fucking day every time he goes on his cell phone.
Yeah. You know what? Brayan Bello is probably back at his place right now, cracking open a blue moon, celebrating a hell of a night at the yard, or at least from a personal perspective.
I'm praying to him in his DMs.
Yeah, he earned it. He earned every drop of that blue moon that he's sucking down right now at his place. Jake, if you could be so kind as to tell the people a little bit more about Blue Moon, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Beer is a tried and true baseball tradition, but Blue Moon is the only beer brewed by baseball. Blue Moon was born in a ballpark, first served at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. Make it your one-of-a-kind baseball tradition whether you're at the park or watching from home. I was responsibly guzzling Blue Moons at Fenway Park this week watching this shit team take the field. I was sipping on Blue Moons Wednesday night pre-rain delay, during the rain delay, and I sure was sipping on Blue Moons after the rain delay when the Red Sox puked all over themselves immediately when they came back. And I was sipping on Blue Moons Thursday night at Fenway Park watching Brayan Bello shove it up the Marlins' ass. Would have enjoyed those Blue Moons a lot more if we could have scored one fucking run. And Bullet's fucking dead. With its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander, Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. Blue Moon was brewed by baseball to give you a dose of nostalgia and get you excited for the new season. Why strike out with the same old beer when you can get something one-of-a-kind? Its bold flavor, bright color, and iconic orange slice ritual guarantee a one-of-a-kind beer experience perfect for spring weather. Best served with its signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful bright color, a beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all season long. Keep baseball traditions alive with Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale. It's one of a kind every time. Check out shop.bluemoonbrewingcompany.com for baseball merch and visit get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared to find Blue Moon delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate that.
Whitlock?
Yeah, what do you got on Whitlock? I think my take is that I think people it's a knee-jerk reaction right now to say put him back in the bullpen. Like it's like the dude I don't want to say consistent, but the dude has been good to good enough. Good to good enough out of the rotation since coming back from his injury, where one bad start and you want to put him back in the bullpen, like that's not how baseball works.
No, and once again, it's what's the point of this year? It's figuring out what these guys are. And, some people were like, well, look, back-to-back clunkers, 7 innings, 4 runs. Like, that didn't feel like a clunker to me personally. I thought this was really his worst start since the one against Milwaukee, which is where he got hurt. Some people may mention the Rays start. There was some bad defense in there that really killed him. And this start, he kind of did a reverse, but it was basically the same thing as the start before. Last start, he threw away the sweeper because he had no feel for it. And he basically became a 2-pitch pitcher. And it was between the sinker and the changeup. And this start, he threw the changeup away. He threw 10 total. And all we've been talking about since he came off the IL is that changeup, right? It's like, oh, they found the velocity band that works well for him. It looks like they figured it out. He got one whiff on it and went away. Heavy sweeper after that. He threw 28 total. So guess what? Yeah, he switched and leaned on the sweeper in this start instead of throwing it away like he did the previous one. That still makes you a 2-pitch pitcher. And at the end of the day, Whitlock stuff isn't good enough to survive with just 2 pitches. Most guys aren't. 99% of guys aren't. That's what it was. He just needs to get back so that he has both of his secondaries, and I think then you can feel in a good spot. I say if you're looking for the positive here, and while I'm not panicking, he's not struggling to miss bats. It was 7 strikeouts, no walks. It continues to feel very Rick Porcello, where I think there are going to be some days where there's a lot of contact. He's going to get, hits are going to fall in. There's going to be bloopers. And then he's also going to go out there some days and give you 7 innings and 3 runs. And you're going to end up getting a guy who's a very consistent number 3 in the middle of that rotation, who gives you innings, keeps you in games. Is he an ace? No. Is he a number 2? I don't even know if I go that far, but he should be able to kind of handle the middle of this rotation and be the workhorse they hope for.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't get worked up on. It's the same thing that you were talking about with Casas. Like, is this a figure it out year or not? Like, you're not going for it.
Well, look at your rotation. You don't even have 5 starters right now.
No. Like this is the perfect time to put a starter in the fucking bullpen is when you've got an opener. Which, yeah, I mean, like the Red Sox gave up 19 hits in the series opener of this series? That was the Whitlock night?
Mm-hmm.
11
from
hits.
him.
11 hits. It was an off night. It wasn't a move this guy to the bullpen night. And I know Tony was talking about, and I agreed with some of the points. Like, you Garrett Whitlock is an elite reliever. He's 96, 97 out of the bullpen. He's 92, 94 in the rotation. And I think when his first, it fell apart quick, but he punched out Arias to start the first inning, like to lead off the game. And it was 96.
Yeah,
so,
he can get it up there at 96. Yeah. Like, the reality is, do you want 60 innings of like a 2.8 to 2.3 or 2.8 to 3 ERA, or are you hoping to get 180 innings of a 3.50 to a 3.8 ERA? What is worth more? The Red Sox are going to tell you 100 times out of 100 times, we're going to take the guy that we think can give us a mid 7-ish 3 ERA over 180 innings. That's 3 times the amount of innings than you get out of a bullpen, especially with the construction of this team, where the bullpen is supposed to be, between Martin and Jansen, Schreiber if he gets healthy, Wink. We know what Wink is right now, but the way he was pitching, you should have enough to let that guy go in the rotation and get that value out of him. And if not, the bullpen relief option is always there. Let the guy, he's doing what he wants to do. We've seen stretches where he does it. You let one bad start, everyone who had been shutting up and was like, all right, you can't say anything about Whitlock, they come back out. The reality is you're not going to get a full picture, or at least close to a full picture, until we're at the end of the year. Then they're going to have to make a tough decision. But I think the FIP's like 4.3 right now. 4.3, 4.4 right in that area. That feels about right for him.
I'll tell you right now, the only thing that I get excited about is Brayan Bello right now. That's it. And I'm not even like a pitching guy. Like I'm an offense guy. I like homers. I don't really tweet pitching highlights. I don't tweet defensive highlights for the most part, unless it's like standout type stuff. The only reason why I would like look at the slate and be like, fuck yeah, like tonight's going to be a reason to watch. It's Brayan Bello, and he no-hit the Marlins through 7 innings, and the Red Sox still lost because they didn't score any runs. Like, there's no one in the lineup where I'm like, oh, this guy's at bats or can't miss. Like, Yoshida's been out of the lineup because he got hit on the wrist in Chicago against the White Sox. That's been sore. Devers has not been Devers this year. And outside of that, it's like, who the fuck are you watching? We're like, this is, I got to be locked in for this. Who the fuck?
I think Verdugo. I enjoy watching Verdugo. Am I going to tell you he's must-watch TV?
No, you don't.
That's not fair.
Yeah,
I get excited for Alex Verdugo. It's a guy who hits over 300. I think he's one of the better average hitters in baseball. But like, if you're telling me who I look most forward to seeing hit, it's Casas. Because I can dream on it. And I think the at-bats, I love watching him work pitchers. I think it's a blast because, he's kind of nibbling on the corners. He's going to spit on a pitch if he doesn't think it's a strike. I like watching young guys try to figure it out at the big league level.
Yeah, no, I don't. Like, it's not, nothing's can't miss to me.
No, that's not can't miss. That's something a fucking nerd fiends off of because he has nothing else to live for.
You have nothing
else to live for. That got dark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was
I have. Martha's not in the room, so let's not repeat
that. Martha's not in the room, so I can be honest.
Oh, God. Well, that's why I was so upset about Casas earlier. Cora, give me a fucking reason.
Yeah, seriously. I'll give you a reason to watch Max.
Please, talk to me.
Yeah, because if you're like me, what you watch depends on what kind of mood you're in. We're all in great fucking moods. That's why Max is my first pick for winning entertainment. Sometimes I'm craving comedies like Friends or South Park, and sometimes I'm totally into dramas like the HBO original Succession and House of the Dragon. I also love cooking shows like Chopped and Beat Bobby Flay. And don't get me started with movies like The Lord of the Rings and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Well, Max is a streaming destination that has the best entertainment for whatever mood I'm in anytime. And plans start as little as $9.99 a month. Max, the one to watch, subscription required. Visit max.com today to sign up. We've already gone too far. It's already over an hour. I texted Jake and Tyler on the way to the hotel. I was like, we're doing 30 minutes. I don't give a fuck. I was so fucking mad. Between just like the nightmare travel and just like the fact that I'm here at all, I'm just in the worst fucking mood. And the fact that the Red Sox got swept and the way that they got swept in the finale. Just it's been a rough go. But let's look ahead here. And then I can eat dinner at fucking 11 p.m. and go to bed.
Too late for the 99.
Do they have 99 down the Cape?
Yeah, legit. When I tell you down the street, the closest restaurant to our place is the 99, and that's a big reason why we book it.
What part of what town are you in?
West Yarmouth.
Oh, are you gonna see any Cape League baseball?
No.
What the fuck's wrong?
My family. It's not me. My family. They are very not anti-baseball, but they're not sports people.
Wow.
I should have came down and saw you. I thought you'd come up here and say something to me. Whoa.
Yeah.
Can we back it up here?
You said it's not me, it's them.
Yeah, listen, wow. First off, I'm not letting that happen. Wow. Second off, listen, I'm trying to give the family what they need. They don't have me. I'm not emotionally available during baseball season, so I try to be somewhat available for
being present.
Oh, listen, if you're going to keep talking shit, I'm going to bring up your first pitch.
Go ahead.
Dog, what happened? I think I got in your head a little bit.
No, it wasn't a strike, but I mean it was over the plate.
I don't know. I was it over the plate? It looked like it was in the batter box.
Yeah,
Throw a fucking strike next time.
It was a ball. I mean, like I said, if you're gonna rise to the occasion and throw out a first pitch right down the fucking plate, like Fenway Park. That's Fenway Park, Red Sox, Yankees, Sunday Night Baseball. I did that. This one was I was very hot. Have we not done a podcast since I fucking threw out the first pitch of the Born Braves game?
No.
Oh, okay.
Did you have a chance to warm up?
A little bit. A little
bit.
Yeah. It was literally right before. Like when I warmed up for the first pitch for Fenway, that's what Eduardo Perez was making fun of me. Like in the video, he's like, been warming up since 3:30. You never heard that video?
No, I remember it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is
3:30.
I'm not disappointed in you. I don't know. I expected something a little bit more after the conversation we had. I thought I had fired you up a little bit. We talked about on the last podcast about just throwing out a first pitch and, not that it's easy. Maybe I might have said something along those lines, but come on.
Been warming up since 3:30.
Yeah, I same thing that happened at the combine. Like they were like, "Hey, go take some swings in the batting cage," and then I didn't, and then I had to go out and fucking take BP in front of the best high school prospects in the fucking world without warming up. And this one was like, I warmed up a little bit, but it was, I don't know, 10 seconds before I had to go out there and throw a pitch, and I was, I'm making excuses right now. I'm making excuses, but
yeah, I'm embarrassed for you.
Shape. No, don't get embarrassed. Don't get embarrassed.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm embarrassed for you, not for me.
Why?
It seems like you're kind of acknowledging some of your shortcomings here. And as someone who stands next to you, I expect more.
Well, I'll have you know that when I went to do the broadcast, that they told me, they were like, hey, that was the first pitch. That was the first pitch on the Cape this summer that registered on TrackMan, because it was the velocity was hard enough to register on TrackMan. So I was like, oh, good to know.
Okay, Caleb Ort.
Okay, Caleb Ort.
He died.
Yeah, he's dead. He's never coming back. What?
All I know is the people who are in this area where I'm at right now, if you go out there around dusk, there's been a bigger lad, some would compare to David Wells, who's been working on a throwing program on the sand in the beach, throwing baseballs at Martha, and let's just say there's a little zip on it. You can hear the seams a little bit right now.
Well, I mean, we've had multiple people reach out, and there's different teams that have offered to have you throw the first pitch, and we're gonna do it. Like you're throwing out.
I'll do a tour. I'll do a tour. I'll hit every ballpark in the fucking world.
Oh my god. Well, that's gonna be a thing. So we'll stay tuned on that. Like I said, we've had baseball teams from all different levels of competition reach out and offer to have Tyler Milliken throw out the first pitch and see how truly easy it is. I mean, like I said, but my first pitch for the Born Braves was not a strike. Salty could have framed it better. He admitted it. That's the first thing he said. He said, I fucked that up. Like I could have framed that better. But velocity was good. I mean, you just can't bounce it. You can't sail it. And I didn't do either. I just kind of yanked it into the right-hand hitter's batter's box a little bit. But
is that your worst first pitch you would say ever?
I think the first pitch that I threw for the North Shore Spirit in like 2009 or 10 was my worst, because I went up on the mound and I threw it as hard as I could, and I skipped it. Like he had to like slide into the left-hand hitter batter's box and like go palms up. Like I really skipped the shit out of it. But I was in baseball shape at that point. Like it was probably my second hardest, maybe my hardest first pitch. But it was nowhere near a strike. My best first pitch ever was 2008 Lowell Spinners. It was like gas, and it was a strike.
And there's no film of this anywhere? Nowhere I can go and take notes from?
No. There's just the pictures. There's pictures. But
I'll show you how it's done.
Please do. The Stop and Shop look ahead, brought to you by Stop and Shop. Head on down to Stop and Shop. Use the promo code section 10 to get 10 cents off. What the fuck did you just do, Tyler?
I just knocked over a lot of things.
Oh my god.
The lamp's not doing well. The frap's on the floor, but you know, I think I can shovel it back in.
Oh my god, dude. You need to clean it up. You need to figure it out. All right, we got to take a break and talk about Zyn nicotine pouches. We're always talking about what a team needs to get to number one, but Zyn nicotine pouches are already there. Zyn has helped millions of people achieve a lasting change, earning the title of America's number one nicotine pouch. If you're a smoker or you're a dipper looking to make a change, look no further than Zyn. Zyn is made with 6 simple ingredients and is available in a wide range of varieties, including spearmint, citrus, and even coffee. And it's available in 2 strengths so you can control your nicotine satisfaction. Because it's discreet, you can enjoy it anywhere, anytime, so you never have to miss a moment of the game. Plus, every can of Zyn earns you points towards premium items like tailgating gear, top-of-the-line tech, Zyn swag, even gift cards. Find your Zyn at your local convenience store or online at Zyn.com. That's Zyn, ZYN.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. It is the Red Sox versus the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto. James Paxton versus Jose Barrios. Cutter Crawford versus Yusei Kikuchi. Garrett Whitlock versus Kevin Gausman. Starting off with Jose Barrios, 8-5 with a 3.60 ERA, a 1.22 WHIP, and 8.2 strikeouts per 9. After an uncharacteristically awful year in 2022, he's righted the ship. His hits per 9, he's dropped those more than 2 hits per 9, so it's back to 8.3, which is below his career average. He led the American League in hits and earned runs last year, but he still has some hiccups this year, in fairness, with 4 games allowing 4+ earned runs. The difference is he's balancing that with 6 starts of 1 earned run or less, including 3 shutout performances. He has a 3.03 ERA in June, but with a 4.11 FIP. He's allowed a home run in 2 straight starts and 3 of 4. He has some wild splits this year. At home, 4-1, 2.48 ERA. Away, 4-4, a 4.30 ERA. Versus right-handers, 2.09 with a 5.99 OPS versus left-handers, 2.80 with a 7.87 OPS. Favors his 4-seam fastball to lefties, and it gets mashed. 94 miles an hour, 3.02 batting average, and a 4.92 slug. He did face the Red Sox in the first series back at Fenway, 5 1/3, 11 hits, 5 earned runs. The Red Sox did get the win. They hit 2 homers. The Blue Jays are 10-6 when he pitches, but they are 6-1 in his last 7. Red Sox hitters, 254 with a 7.02 OPS. Verdugo, 7 for 17. Duran, 3 for 5 with a double and a homer. Okay. I see you, Jaron. James Paxton, this is the one that we didn't know if he was going to make, but alas, here he is. 3-1, a 3.19 ERA, a 1.02 WHIP, and an 11.5 strikeouts per 9. We got to hope the knee holds up. His last start was his lowest velocity of the season at 94.7 miles per hour, but not too concerned. It was only 0.3 miles per hour lower than his previous start. Red Sox, somehow 3-5 when he starts. He's only allowed more than 3 earned runs once this year. He allowed 6 earned runs all of June in 23 1/3 innings pitched. Blue Jays hitters, 234 with a 7.13 OPS. Matt Chapman, 0 for 14 with 9 strikeouts. Holy shit. That's crazy. Cutter Crawford. Kikuchi. We'll go Kikuchi first. Another Blue Jay pitcher who struggled big time last year and is having a bounce back year. His bounce back in ERA is mostly due to his walk rate dropping from an insane 5.2 walks per 9 to a manageable 2.7. His FIP this year stinks. It is 5.27 compared to his 5.62 last year. His biggest issue this year has been the home runs. He's allowed a home run, MLB leading 20 home runs already. That's pretty fucking nuts. He has 3 starts all year without allowing a home run. He has 2 allowing 3 and 3 allowing 2. Dude just loves giving up fucking bombs. He was lights out in June, 2.28 ERA, 3.89 FIP. He throws hard, 95.2 miles per hour with his four seam. It does suck though, which is unfortunate for him. 300 batting average, of 555 slug. I don't know why he throws it 42% of the time. That is not good. His second favorite pitch is a slider, which also sucks. 471 slugging percentage. He faced the Red Sox in that series, which the Red Sox swept. 4 1/3, 9 hits, 5 earned, 2 bombs. Got a no decision. Blue Jays are 11-5 when he pitches and have won his last 2. Red Sox hitters 263 with a 764 OPS. Alex Verdugo 5 for 10, couple doubles, 1246 OPS. Christian Arroyo 1 for 7, but that one is a home run. Rafael Devers 0 for 10. 0 for 10 with a strikeout. Cutter Crawford. So we got to talk about Cutter Crawford, the starting pitcher. As a starter, 7 starts, 30 innings, 5.70 ERA, 1.43 WHIP. As a reliever, 8 appearances, 21 1/3 innings, a 1.66 ERA, and an 0.69 WHIP. Okay, so his name is Cutter, and the numbers on his cutter are very bad. It's 370 batting average on the cutter, a 593 slug. It's his second most used pitch. Fortunately, he threw it a season low 17% last start, so maybe the Red Sox are getting the data there and saying, you know what, Cutter? You should not throw a cutter. I think you only throw a cutter because your name's Cutter. Red Sox are 4-11 when he pitches and 1-5 since he rejoined the rotation. Blue Jays hitters 378 with an 874 OPS. That's not good. Bo Bichette 1 for 6 with a double. Okay. Then you have Kevin Gausman, who owns the Red Sox, but did not pitch well against the Red Sox this year, which was astonishing. Would it be
Good
nice
times.
to have a Red Sox starter by the name of Kevin Gausman? That'd be great. Leads the American League in batters faced, strikeouts, and leads the MLB with a 254 FIP. He led the American League last year with a 238 FIP. Has only allowed more than 2 earned runs twice since May 5th, and that's 10 starts. His worst start of the year came against the Red Sox. 3 1/3, 10 hits, 8 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, a home run, and got the L. It was the most hits, earned runs, and tied for the fewest strikeouts of the season. His last start, he went 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 12 strikeouts, and then took the L. His splitter is one of the best pitches in baseball. 184 batting average, 270 slugging percentage, a 43.4 whiff rate. He's thrown it 657 times and only allowed 1 home run on his splitter this year. Pretty fucking good. Blue Jays are 10-7 when he starts, but they are 6-1 in his last 7. Red Sox hitters 277 with a 756 OPS. Pretty respectable. Justin Turner 8 for 22, couple doubles, couple bombs. Adam Duvall 2 for 4. Both of those hits, bombs. Masataka Yoshida 3 for 3 with a bomb. Okay, then we wrap it up with Garrett Whitlock, who we were just talking about. 4-3, a 5.15 ERA, 132 WHIP, and an 8.2 strikeouts per 9. Just feels like he should be better. It feels like he should be better. It's great that he has 2 walks in his last 4 starts, but he's allowed 4 home runs and 32 hits in the same span. All of this happened in 25 innings. His sweeper is elite. 186 batting average on the sweeper. On the changeup, 324. On the sinker, 333. Whitlock threw only 11% changeups in his last start, lowest by far of any start this year. Previous low is 22%. Still got hammered for a double and a home run. The Red Sox are 5-4 when he starts, and they've lost 2 straight. The Blue Jays hitters, though, fortunately, 171 batting average and a 416 OPS, so very low. Springer, Chapman, and Vladdy combined, ready for this? 0 for 13 with 6 strikeouts against Garrett Whitlock, but I'm assuming a lot of that, or some of it, at least half of it, came as a reliever. I don't have the starter versus reliever numbers for the Jays. But anyways, he's had success. Prediction time. Jake, where are we at after a fucking Marlins sweep? I feel like, fuck.
Fuck is right. Nobody has ever been more deserving of a reverse sweep right now than the Red Sox.
I agree. So you got the Jays taking all 3.
Got the Jays blowing our doors off this weekend.
Okay. Tyler, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go the other way. We saw the Red Sox clean up on the Blue Jays earlier in the year, really take them to town. I'm hoping in typical 2023 Red Sox.
Talking about Tyler?
I'm sorry.
What are you saying?
I'm a little crazy right now.
Oh my god, dude! I didn't
Hey,
expect
listen.
to hear it today. There's no fucking way I expected to hear it.
We were negative about the Marlins series, right? We came out, we had 1 out of 3. The Red Sox cleaned up against the Blue Jays in typical 2023 Red Sox fashion. I think they show up for this series, somehow scrape out 2. Do I feel super confident in it? No. But at this point, if they lose another series, the ground's going to start falling through underneath them. So I'm going to have them taking 2 out of 3. They find a way to show up, but you got Texas after that, man. This could get real ugly the next couple series if you don't figure it out now. I think their backs are against the wall, and they seem to show up when it's about to get really bad.
Man, I almost wish that they found a way. Did Baio got an extra day of rest, right?
Yeah, Whitlock did too.
Yeah. So,
Oh, and I just want to add a side note. They scratched Brandon Walter at AAA tonight. They're pushing him back at least a day for right now. For Friday. So I don't know. Cora said they still expect Paxton to start, but something to keep an eye on.
damn. Wow, I went 1 out of 3 against the Marlins, and it was worse. I said 1 out of 3 in the Marlins series. I'm tempted to go 1 out of 3 in the Jays series, but I don't even know that I feel good about that. If they do win a game in this series, it's gonna be the first one. So I think Gosman's gonna shove it up their fucking ass. I don't have faith in Crawford, the starter.
What? You're out on Cutter Crawford, the starter?
Did you want me to read those numbers again?
I did, and I do have a little pushback. I think you go over those starts. It's a 4.71 ERA. It's a 30.32 FIP. I think he's been better than what that ERA is.
It's a 5.70 ERA as a starter.
Well, yeah, but we're going the 5 starts this year. I think last year we agreed he had that 2-month stretch where he was really good last year.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, the first start came against Tampa Bay, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was June 3rd.
I'm going 1 out of 3. They're taking the first one, and they might not even take that. I'm very I was very tempted to join Jake in a fucking reverse sweep.
Someone needs to be the light of positivity here. I think we get a good start out of James Paxton, and at least one of Whitlock or Cutter gives you a good start.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you. Walter was scratched for tonight, by the way, not tomorrow.
Got it. Okay. Any final thoughts, Tyler? I know I don't want to.
Don't pout. Figure it out, Jared.
Wow. You know what? I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to name any names.
Mm-hmm.
But someone within the Red Sox organization on Tuesday hit me with a don't pout, figure it out.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Oh, and you mentioned someone you spoke to on Tuesday, did you not? It's not the same guy. Was that the day you spoke to Heim?
Oh, it wasn't Heim. Heim's got bigger fish to fry than listening to this fucking podcast.
Text me, Heim. Text me.
Yeah, he. I know I know that he has paid attention. Has Heim ever made a podcast reference before? Yes, he has. But I think it was like 2 years. I think it was like during 21 he did.
I can definitely picture him roasting Caleb Ort to you.
He would never. He's like very and he operates in a very smart way. Even when he's in a safe space, Heim will talk to you like there's a microphone in front of him. Always. Like he's like, I won't say anything that I wouldn't say to 100,000 people. That's his mindset. But no, it was not Heim. But to your point, yes, Heim has made a podcast reference in the past, and I believe it was 2021. So, anyways, Jake's takes.
I know he hit a lot on Baio tonight, but honestly, just going out to the park and seeing him shove against an offense that's like top tier in the MLB right now is sick to watch. And he got a standing O leaving the field, which I was like thinking, damn, I haven't witnessed like a standing O Red Sox pitcher leaving the field in a while. So that kind of got the feels going if we're looking for anything to be positive about.
Love to hear that. He deserves it. I love the fact that Red Sox fans, despite how miserable the game was and the season is going right now, will still give props to a guy like Baio for going out there and shoving like that. So, shout out to the Fenway faithful. Shout out to you guys for still listening, even though it's not fun times in Red Sox Nation. Tyler, any final thoughts?
Just on the minor league side, Roman Anthony, dude, what he continues to do now, 5 home runs since his promotion to high A. This guy, if you're talking real deal, what's going on in the Red Sox system, have a hard time believing he's not going to be a top 3 prospect in the system by the end of the year. Looks like they've seriously hit on a big name here. He's going to be on every top 100 list. Already on Baseball America now, top 50 for Kylie. Look at that name. I can't, every day that goes by, I'm tweeting a Roman Anthony highlight. This is special. This is something really to get excited for. And if you're looking for the system to replenish itself, it starts really with names like him and Blaze moving forward.
All right. People want the prospect talk. We're going to get more of that.
Yeah, a lot more. There's good things. I'll say things are a little depressing at the major league level in certain ways. I think the farm system is taking a step forward this year that a lot of people are looking for, and we are seeing a system that's going to be consistently funneling talent for years, whether Heim's here or not.
All right. We will be back on Sunday after the Red Sox Blue Jays series, and hope to see you then. Bye.
Buenas noches, amigos.